They watch, they analyze, they fear. Every step you take toward your true self sends ripples through their fragile reality. They are unsettled, not because of what you do, but because of what you are. A force they can neither predict nor contain. You were never meant to follow their script. The universe itself whispered secrets into your soul, secrets they tried to bury. But now you rise. The signs are all around you. This message, this moment, this undeniable shift within. You feel it. The surge of clarity, the deep knowing that you were always destined for more than their expectations could ever comprehend. Your ascension is not a silent one. It disrupts, it shakes, it demands to be noticed. They resist because they recognize what's happening, even if they won't admit it. But their resistance is only proof of your awakening. So go on. Step further into your power. This is no accident. You were always meant to break through. They first ignored you. You were only another individual, another soul following the rules, another component of their well-crafted system. Then, however, something changed. They saw that you had changed. Your energy started to change, slowly at first, then clearly. Your demeanor, your speech, and your refusal to compromise in order to meet their expectations. You were no longer complying. You didn't want to be liked. The pushback started because you weren't complying with their unwritten norms. When someone deviates from the norm, the world responds violently. Others are in awe. Others are curious, but others, they hate. Nothing disturbs people more than a glaring mirror, and your development highlights their stagnation. They can't take their eyes off it. It compels them to face the things they have shunned. The aspirations they gave up, the realities they hushed, and the authority they ceded for solace. They are reminded of what they might be, but are too scared to pursue by your very presence. You've seen it. Family members doubting your decisions, friends becoming aloof, and strangers disparaging you without reason. They roll their eyes, sneer, and mumble. Why? Because their delusions are disturbed by your development. They feel uneasy about it. They are terrified that you no longer fit neatly into the box they made for you. Remember a time when you were misjudged by someone who assumed you will always remain the same, stay little, and be controllable. Then you got up. Perhaps they mocked your aspirations, only to see you achieve. Perhaps they ignored your voice, just to hear it reverberate more loudly. It's possible that they assumed you would always look for their approval before realizing you had outgrown the need for affirmation. This is the tipping point, when your dominance becomes evident, when people are unable to ignore what is going on, and when their annoyance, envy, and unease are all signs that you are rising. Now that they see it, they are unable to tolerate it. This surpasses you in size. Your ascension is a communal change, rather than only a personal one. Numerous other people are waking up right now, and what's occurring to you is happening to them worldwide. The world has changed from its previous state. The vibe has shifted. They're breaking the illusions. They are aware that the power they previously had is evaporating. You've seen it. The odd timing of things, the synchronicity that seems too good to be true, the epiphanies, the intuitions that prove correct, the way certain people and circumstances appear to be coming together or dissolving. That isn't arbitrary. That is how the universe is guiding you and preparing you for something bigger. You're looking through life instead of merely responding to it, and that change is crucial. Consider how often you've heard the expression, "That's just the way things are," which is used to defend inaction, to reject change, and to prevent individuals from challenging the structures they were raised in. However, those systems are now being revealed for what they are: control-based structures intended to keep people sleeping. You can't unsee it after you've seen it. The environment around you starts to adapt the more you awaken. Because ascension is a chain reaction rather than an isolated incident, some people will try to keep the illusion going, while others will climb with you. When someone takes charge of their life, they inspire those around them. Because the minute you rise, you allow others to do the same. Which is why they have fought so hard to keep you tiny. When the people rise, the empire collapses. This has always been the case. Every significant historical change began with individuals who dared to question the illusion, refused to be subdued, and saw beyond it. This is not unique to you. You weren't, and now you're discovering this message? It's evidence of how the world is changing, and how indisputable your part is in it. The awakening of everything is at stake here, not just your own. This is not a novel route. Well, you won't be the last person to overcome adversity. You're not the first. You have ancestors who were fighters, revolutionaries, visionaries, and souls who refused to bend down because they saw through the delusion. Although history remembers them as leaders, pioneers, and the chosen ones, they were labeled troublemakers, misfits, and heretics. The obvious choices have never been chosen by the universe. It doesn't choose those who are already in charge, well-liked, and secure in the system. No, it appeals to those who have been undermined, questioned, and shattered. Since genuine power is developed rather than given, it calls upon those who have endured hardship and come out stronger. Consider the legends. The revolutionaries who toppled empires with nothing but conviction. The spiritual fighters who propagated truth despite persecution. And David facing Goliath with just a stone and faith. They were all warned they were going to fail. Each one of them was questioned. Nevertheless, they altered the path of history. You are descended from the same family. They are not apart from you. You are the next chapter in a centuries-old tale, the continuation of their struggle. Like them, you were selected to help you become ready, not because you were already ready. The competent are qualified by the universe, not the other way around. You once wondered why life put you through so much hardship when the obstacles were unjust. The resistance seemed too great, and the journey was too alone. But you get it now. It was all preparation, every obstacle, every failure, every betrayal. It was always meant to sharpen you, not to shatter you, since strength without resiliency is only a moment. This is your affirmation. Blending in was never your intention. Silence was never intended for you. The strength of every soul that has ever defied the powers of control is carried with you when you rise, as you were destined to do. You're not alone yourself. It's your time now. You never were. Resistance arises when you take charge, not because you are incorrect, but rather because you are correct, and your presence, consciousness, and ascension pose a danger to the very structures of authority. They are afraid of you not because you are weak, but because you are awakening. And the biggest danger to any illusion-based society is an aware mind. Have you not sensed it? When you speak your truth, you may encounter abrupt resistance. Others may become aloof, attempt to quiet you, disregard you, or drag you back into a box you have outgrown. Because compliance is the foundation of all control systems, whether they be institutional, social, or personal, this is not only a coincidence. Rather, it is a pattern and a strategy, and you become an issue the instant you cease to comply. Opposition may take many different shapes. Sometimes it comes from outside sources, like institutions that attempt to repress you, or individuals who try to embarrass you. Other times, it's internal. The weight of everything attempting to pull you back, old worries returning, or self-doubt sneaking in. Don't get me wrong, however, none of this is random. The forces attempting to exert influence over you are well aware of their tactics. They are skilled at controlling, diverting, and instilling dread in your head until you falter long enough for them to firmly establish their hold. Consider the past. There was opposition to every significant change, revolution, and awakening. The truth-speaking voices were either eliminated, mocked, or silenced. They portrayed anyone who dared to rebel as dangerous, irresponsible, and unstable. Not because they were any of those qualities, but rather because they were uncontrollable. You're experiencing it now. They push back stronger the higher you go. They don't want you to know this. Yet resistance is evidence of your strength. If you weren't a danger, they wouldn't fight you. If your voice didn't matter, they wouldn't attempt to silence you. If you couldn't shake the core foundations of their delusion, they wouldn't be afraid of you. Therefore, let them to push, resist, and attempt, because the more powerful the force, the more brilliant your light will be, and nothing, not even their control, manipulation, or fear, can undo what has already started. They are aware that your ascension is imminent. To help you forget who you are, they created a whole system. You were indoctrinated from birth to look for approval, to minimize yourself in order to get acceptance, and to gauge your value by their affirmation. They trained you to think that power is outside of you, to reject your own judgment, and to question your own intuition. However, that delusion is dissolving, and you are now regaining your sovereignty and taking everything back. It is about embracing the truth that has always been yours, not about rebelling for the purpose of rebelling. It's about escaping the unseen restraints that are meant to keep you tiny. The power dynamic changes the instant you stop asking for permission to be who you are in all your fullness. You are no longer owned by the system. Your path is no longer determined by what other people think. You stop trying to make the world understand something that was never intended for their approval. You quit defending yourself, and you quit explaining. Consider the times you suppressed your truth to avoid controversy, the times you watered yourself down to make others feel comfortable, and the times you held back. And what did you get out of it? Nothing but emptiness, as you lost a part of yourself each time you compromised your spirit to fit into their world. The parts are coming back now, however. This time, you refuse to put out the fire inside of you because it is too brilliant to ignore. They will put you to the test, ask you questions, and attempt to reintroduce you into the pattern of uncertainty and hesitancy. However, these strategies become ineffective once you are aware of who you are. You no longer look to a system designed to manipulate you for approval. You establish uncrossable borders. You firmly believe in an unchangeable truth. That's sovereignty. Power is that. The time has come for you to stop justifying yourself and begin living in your truth. Some will leave. Permit them. Some people will object. Permit them. They are not for your path. It wasn't. You now have your own approval, which was all you ever wanted. No more requesting authorization. Playing tiny is over. Nothing is more powerful than a soul that at last recognizes its own value, and you are free. Look, if you're paying attention, you can see that the system has been manipulated from the beginning. The barriers are getting closer, so let's be honest about our actions. Being dependent on the market and living paycheck to paycheck, that game is designed to make you lose. They control the rules, the land, the earnings, and they divert your attention while they load the deck. However, we construct our own table rather than begging the homeowner for leftovers. Because fighting the machine requires actual fuel. The Obsidian Inner Order does indeed have pay barriers. We have the firepower to go further, see farther, and strike where it matters because of those who support us and keep our mission going. And in exchange, they get exclusive access to a live weekly group tarot reading that lasts 1 hour and provides insight, clarity, and advice directly from the source code of the cosmos. Here's the thing, though. Kicking someone who is already on the ground. We don't do that. The Astral Atom special daily email is now available for free. No ties attached, no paywall. Simply sign up for our Patreon's free tier. The description contains a link. This is a two-way channel, so it's not just us speaking to you. Send us an email and we'll read it, listen to you, and come back to you with a response from the cosmos itself. We need you in the battle if you can help. Take what's free and hone your intellect if you can't. The inner order of obsidian is now accessible. Let's resume our job. Your request for development was heard by the universe. However, progress does not come with luxury. Rather, it comes with hardship, fire, and challenges that need you to prove yourself. Not to other people, but to yourself. Everything you've learned and everything you've woken to is put to the test at this point, not to break you, but to purify you. The global rule of ascension states that the selected ones are always put to the test. There are challenges at every stage on the path to power that are meant to test your readiness. Are you? When everything around you trembles, are you prepared to remain steadfast? When uncertainty starts to seep in, are you prepared to keep going? Even when it seems like everything is against you, are you prepared to follow your own path? Your power is created in this fire. Remember the time you were pushed to the limit, when you almost broke, when it was simpler to give in, to remain little, to revert to the appearance of safety. However, you didn't. The fact that you persisted and refused to revert to your former self is evidence that you were destined for greater. The reason you got up was because something inside of you wouldn't go to sleep. Many people will fail their examinations because they let fear to control their decisions, not because they are weak. Since they see difficulties as an indication to halt, they flee at the first hint of hardship. However, you realize that hardship is an indication that you are about to undergo a change. Those who continue to walk in the face of uncertainty are the ones who climb. Under pressure, they rise rather than shatter. This test represents your entrance into the next level of power. It is neither a punishment nor a sign that the universe is against you. The pain, the pressure, and the resistance are all a part of the process. Comfort isn't what makes you strong. It's the times when you don't give up. You will thus know what to do when the exam is given, as it will be. Because you are here to ascend, not to kneel, you will confront it, stand in it, and move through it as a force rather than a victim. They sensed you long before you spoke a word. Your presence was changing the atmosphere around them before they even realized what was going on. This is the reason people are afraid of you, not because of what you say or even do, but because of who you are. Everything they based on control and manipulation gets upset by your energy alone. Words are not as powerful as energy. Even if they may not always get it, people feel the need to respond to you in a certain manner. It attracts, inspires, and awakens certain people. Others feel shook, uneasy, and even resentful because your energy makes them confront something they are not prepared to. You've seen it. How people fluctuate around you, sometimes without cause. How they project their anxieties onto you. How they abruptly become aloof, and how they behave as if your very existence is a danger. However, you haven't hurt them. They are uncomfortable because you haven't done anything except live within your ability, because they know in their hearts that there is something beyond their control. They took advantage of your uncertainty, uneasiness, and quiet. They felt at ease when you doubted yourself, when you doubted everything you did, and when you looked to them for approval. However, you now move in a new way. You exude an authority that is independent of approbation. You have lost your quiet assurance, your shrinkage, and your apology for taking up space. They are completely shaken by it. Consider the occasions when you walked into a room and the atmosphere changed before you spoke a word. It's no coincidence. Power is that. When someone who has realized their own divinity enters a room, that is what occurs. Simply by being there, you elicit a response, not because you're doing anything wrong, but rather because you're upending the subconscious habits they've developed over the years. They are afraid of you because you are uncontrollable, not because you want to damage. They will never get that your energy demands respect without asking for it. Allow them to respond and project, It doesn't matter since you don't need their approval to live your truth. They understand that your presence is sufficient.